All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for stopping by, uh, and to give me some time. Give me your time. It's really valuable. Really appreciate it. So let's get started. A couple of things before we go over some of the modeling tools. I wanted to clarify some things that I mentioned or Miss Cole. Like I said before, I am new at teaching anything really. So there's some things that I said, a couple of things that I said that didn't probably make much sense. So one of them was when I was explaining about the move tool, the rotate, and the scale tool. So as we remember, I'm gonna go over real quick. We have the move tool is our W key, and the E is a rotate, and an R is a scale tool. Last video, I said that Q was nothing. I totally forgot the word that I was looking for. When you select a object and it doesn't have a tool, doesn't have an indicator that a tool is activated, and you press Q, Q is select tool. It's a select tool. It was my mistake saying that it's nothing. So you can see on the left hand side right here, select tool, and then Q is select, W is move, E is rotate, and R is scale. Another one that I mispronounced or gave you misinformation, or you really didn't didn't remember or didn't find the words to say, was about the rendering options, the rendering tools here. I'm gonna show you real quick the settings. Let me open this up really quick, and I'm gonna show you right here. So, and of course we're gonna have a whole thing about rendering, so don't worry about it. I'm just remember, and I saw the video after I published it, that this part I explained it pretty poorly. So on this tab, Arnold rendering, we're looking at the sampling. Sampling for each individual. These are maps, right? But these are components that create an image, right? Diffuse is color, specular is anything that is shiny, not like shiny has a specularity, and it has other maps here. What sampling does is basically you're telling the rendering to sample the diffuse 2 times, and by doing that, basically you're saying you're trying to make the image or that diffuse map as crispy or as good looking or as clear as possible, right? You're looking into having a beautiful render, but sometimes if you crank this up too high, you can have very long time renders, and sometimes your image will still look noisy. That's why we have to talk about texture maps and all that stuff too, and the lighting samples. It's not just hitting a button, render, and keep putting this up high, and just having the rendering clean. Try to clean your image as much as possible. You're gonna have really high render times, and you might not get you the result that you're looking for. Also, this camera AA, basically this is a multiplier. See how everything changes up here. It's multiplying the numbers, right? So you gotta be really careful when you put this up and this up, because the higher it goes, the multiplier acts. This is a multiplier, so it's gonna get all those numbers high for you. So just pay attention to that. Just wanted to touch on that real quick. Alright, let's get started with the modeling tools. Alright, so let's get started. Let's go ahead and create a cube to go over some modeling tools. I'm gonna make it a little bigger. Let me add some geometry to it just to play around with it. Alright, so we have it right here. Let's go ahead, turn this on, make this bigger. If you ever want to make the size, when I change the size of the tool you're using, the plus, the minus and plus key on your numeric key, you will make it bigger and smaller. Minus for smaller to make it smaller, and plus to make it bigger. Anyway, real quick before we start going through all these other modeling tools and explain what they do, there is another thing that you need to know as a beginner to start modeling. It's the different modes that help you manipulate your object, right? So if you, on your mouse you do a right click, you'll see these options right here. These options right here are your mode options. Right now we're in object mode, so you see that the green wire frame around it, right? So that's the object mode. This will help you to manipulate the whole object or objects with, you know, the move tool, rotate, and scale, right? But that moves the whole thing, right? So very, very, very important. If you again right click. So let's go ahead and choose face mode. What is face mode? Well, as you can see, now you can select the faces, the different faces of the object. So if this object was as you know, you remember I added some geometry to it. So if it was as we first created it, it would be a whole big face like this. Let me show you really quick. Like that. So face, we'll be able to select the whole face, right? So yeah, so face mode, it allows you to select the faces around it. And yes, you can imagine if you split up these things right here, right? The different, they keep adding more geometry to your object, right? Of course, you're gonna have to have a reason why to add this much geometry, but just for the example, right? Let's press Q to select mode. For a select tool, let's select face, and now you can select the faces. See, this is very useful when you try to manipulate an object. I mean, I want to say you find yourself using the face mode a lot more than any other options. Now I think it's about the same. I might be mistaken, but yeah, it's super useful. You know, you can start making some really cool designs with it. You know, you can, I'm gonna do G to do bigger. See, you can make it bigger, make the whole thing smaller. G again. We can go in with this. G again. So you can start doing some pretty cool stuff in here. You know, your imagination is all you have, so you can keep doing anything you want. So this is face mode. Let's move on and let's go to H mode. H mode is really cool. I like it because it will allow you to manipulate the edges of a object, right? So you can really get into different shapes and, you know, manipulate things differently, right? Start making different shapes and making look things cooler. Of course, this is really, I'm not doing anything right. I'm just playing around, but you get the idea. So face mode, H mode, vertex mode. Vertex are these really points that you see here. This is basically the points where the geometry of the lines meet, and you're able to manipulate that one by one or together, right? That's a really powerful tool. You're able to continue to shape objects differently, right? Give them another shape. just, gives you the freedom to really work on complex shapes. And we'll get to do that, as we start our project here pretty soon. I want to say in about a couple weeks we're gonna take all we've learned, of all the knowledge that I'm sharing here with you, and then we'll start our first project, and we'll be using H mode, object mode, face mode, vertex mode, of course, and vertex faces are here too. That really sometimes is useful. I don't use it really, so most modelers are going to be using face mode, vertex mode, and edge mode. Of course, object mode. UVs, we'll get to that in that UV section. I just want to show you this right here. So cool, let's go ahead and let's leave this mess where it is. I like it. It doesn't seem like anything. So let's go ahead and go up to our menu here. So as you can see, I'm on a expert window. Remember how I get there is by control space. That's how I get here. Let me show you something real quick. Up here you see these different shelves, right? Now Maya comes with a pre-packaged poly shelf for you to do things like extrude, bridge, bevel. These are the very basic tools, and our polygons, our polygon primitives that we find here. Yeah, now Maya has put all that in a shelf for you, which is really useful. Back in the days when I was doing this, we didn't have that. We had to create our own. So you still can, if you ever wanted to. You can go ahead and go to shelf. You can click on this gear right here. You can go and click on new shelf, you name it. Let's name it test, and now you'll have this at the end, like you can see. The way you would add tools or to your new shelf, it would be like, let's say you want a tool from mesh. You will press and hold Control Shift and click the tool that you want. Combine, separate. See how it's now. So that's how you do it. Press and hold Shift Control or Control Shift and click on the tool that you want. And that's how you do it. Of course, to delete it, you just go to the gear and delete shelf. And then it'll ask you if you're sure to do it. Yes, go ahead and do it. So as being mentioned, I don't create a shelf. I just work on this view right here. And the way I work from here is a press and hold space bar. I click on box controls. I go to show modeling only, and that will show me only the modeling options, modeling tools that I need, and I can access it from here, right? Which is super useful, super quick, so I don't have to be coming up here to do that. So if you wanna, do that, go ahead and do that. If not, you can keep coming to these menus up here. Anyways, let's keep going. Let's go, and I'm gonna show you really the tools that you're most going to be using. You can go ahead and explore as much as you want, but as you can tell, look at all this, right? Look at all these tools, look at all this. We'll get to see a lot of this the more we work through it. But to get you going with modeling, to get you started with modeling, let's go ahead and jump into the most common tools that you're gonna use, right? So let's go ahead and let me demonstrate right here on mesh. I'm gonna demonstrate two tools by using them, right? I'm gonna demonstrate separate first, and then no, let's do this. Let me demonstrate. Let's go to edit mesh. Let me demonstrate extract, right? And then I'm gonna demonstrate combined. Okay, all right. So on our object, let's go to face mode. Let's select half of this. How about half, right? Gotta select the half, right? Let's go to edit mesh. Let's extract. right? And you'd be like, what happened? Well, now one piece became two, right? There you go. There's two pieces right here. This is very useful when you are working on a very complex model and you want to keep, there's one section that you need to keep adding geometry, but you don't want to add geometry to everything. Remember, even though you want to be really thoughtful of your geometry, even if you're modeling for VFX, you want to be able to, everything you put on your object is for a good reason. So now that it's separate, you can go ahead and, you know, let me go ahead and insert loop, add, and you can see I'm adding only to this right here. That's it. That's all I'm adding to. So yeah, let's say this was a oh, real quick, sorry. So when you do separate a piece from an object, you move tool, the orientation of your tool is going to stay in its origin, you know, where it was when this was one object, right? So to now move it and actually put it in the center of your new object, you want to go to modified and you want to go to center pivot, and that's gonna move it over here. Pretty cool. All right, anyways, so let's say, you know, you're working on this, you extract it, you're happy, it looks amazing, you added all the geometry you wanted to, now you're ready for this to be one piece. All right, what I usually do, because now we have geometry that doesn't flow through the whole model the same way, because that's the way we wanted it, because we needed to put more detail in some places. Now we're gonna combine it. Right, we select this one, select that, mesh, and then combine. Nice, again, one piece. Right, now you put all the geometry and all the detail in one area, and now you can combine. Of course, I'm gonna tell you right now, this looks like I'm putting two objects that don't have the same flow coming through. Absolutely. So when you extract, you gotta make sure it's a part of your object. Let's say, let's do something really quick. Let's create a cylinder. All right, let's create this something really quick here. Usually I wouldn't leave the cylinder like this on the top. I will make it a quad. I will make everything squares up here, but just for the sake of the demonstration here. So what I'm talking about, let's add a couple H loop here, just two. There you go. Let's reset the tool. So let's say I have this, right, and I just want to add more detail going up, but it doesn't make, you know, you don't want to add anything else around it, right? So let's say you've been working on this, right? To do something like this, see what I did right there? I went to face mode, I click on one face, I press shift and hold it, and double click on the next one. That will select the whole ring around it. That's how I did it. Let's go ahead and extrude. We kind of saw that last video. The extrude is what it's intended, right? It extrudes an area. So let's do that. It's G to repeat. We actually want to go out, not in. Okay, and then we're gonna go in again, and then we're gonna go out one more time. Actually, let's change the orientation. All right, so you have something like this, right? You added this, you adding details, and all of a sudden you have some intricate details right here on this ring, outer ring, and then you have to add more geometry. But if you add it, see, you add into the whole thing, and you're probably not gonna want to do that here if you don't have anything going on. So let's go to face mode, select that face, select the whole ring. So click, shift, double click. All right, now we extract it. Now that becomes one object, right? Now you can go ahead and go to shift right click. You can go to multi-cut or space mesh tools. You can go to insert edge loop. Kind of show you what that does, right? That's this kind of thing. It inserts edge loops or edges. Shift right click, multi-cut. It kind of does the same. It gives you this kind of liberty. You can kind of, if you need it to be directional or something like that, not just straight, you can do that. You can do that for your model. So now let's say you went ahead and put all the details that you wanted. The object mode, you select both objects and you can combine them. All right, you can combine it. Now it's one item again. You got all your geometry or your details done, and now you combine it and it's one object again. A lot of the times though, there's going to be something different that you're gonna be needing to do, which is going to be having to group your model, right? So you did your detailing. You got two objects now. Maybe your art director, your supervisor is like, hey, don't combine it. Go ahead and just group them. All right. For some reason, right, you group them. Maybe they're gonna be animated in different times, or maybe just the workflow of your company, right? If you're freelancing for somebody, that's the way they do it, right? So how do you group? So let's say it's a hierarchy mode, way to group. So from smallest to biggest, or from lowest to higher. In this case, let's say this is a handle, and this was a detail of the handle. So you want the handle to be the parent, the detail area to be the child. So you would select the handle first, then the child, then press and hold Control G. As you can see up here, it says group 1. If you get out of expert mode, you'll see it says group 1. And then you can just say handle GRP group, right? And if you come over here to your left hand side into your outliner, and you say show outliner, click on it, you see that cylinder, and inside the cylinder you got a handle group. I did this wrong, my apologies. Let me name it. So handle detail piece. This happened because I've been playing around with this a lot. So we want these two to be. We don't want this to be already a group or anything like that. There we go. So now let's select that handle, then the detail part, then Control G. Then we'll have a first group, right? Then we'll say handle GRP. Alright, and inside that you have your handle piece, and then you have your detail piece. And you see how the handle is on top, then the detail piece. One thing that I did really quick here, so you have history on your objects, and when you're transforming, extracting, combining, you're doing all these different things, you're gonna find yourself with this predicament when a cylinder, this is history from the original object, from the original object, the first one we created. Inside of that, we created we extracted this detail piece from the handle. So hierarchically, that was inside the cylinder, the main item. Okay, so one rule of thumbs when you modeling and you're doing a lot of adjustments, once in a while, come of it, select your objects you're working on, go to edit, and delete by type history. That's gonna take care of any history of that for you. Again, sorry, bear with me. Again, so we're gonna do it again. Click the object, edit, delete all by type history. So that now the cylinder that was there before is gone because you deleted the history. Now Maya knows it's only two different objects. So now it's easier to group, it's easier to combine, it makes everything cleaner. So that just stop pointing that out there. Okay, so you can either, after you extract, you can combine or you can group it, depending on what your company wants, your supervisor wants, your client wants. But let's say you do combine it, right? Cool. You working, you keep working, and all of a sudden, oh, you gotta go back to here. Oh man, you made it a one piece. How can you work in it? Very simple. Go to mesh. Now hit separate, because Maya recognizes that you've combined two separate pieces. When you separate the pieces, it'll separate all the pieces that are individual. You know what I mean? You can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 different ones. If you do that, if you hit separate, it'll separate all those pieces. Okay, super powerful. Just with those tools, you can do a lot. All right. Let's go ahead and let me. I don't want to make these videos too long. The last one was like 40 minutes. I'd rather publish 2 in 1 week. So let me finish this video with a recap really quick and with the last tool, right? So we did our different modes: edge, vertex, face, and object, right? We understand what they do. Then we also looked into combine, separate, and extract. We touch again into the extrude tool. Real quick, for me this is the best and fastest way to access these modes right here, but not everybody likes to do that. Some people like to use the F keys if you have it, right? If you have your F keys, you use them. If you don't, just use the right click. To me it's faster. So anyways, F8, it'll be object mode. F9, vertex mode. F10, it'll be H mode, and F11, face mode. Just so you know, that's what it does. We also saw the 2 different tools to add loops. Insert H loop. It'll go around an object or up to a point where it ends, right? It didn't go through all the way because of that nasty point right there, right? I'll show you how to fix a cylinder on the next lesson. Then we saw shift right click multi-cut tool. Very useful to do shapes into a object. Of course, you gotta be really careful how you use it, because you don't want to just use it and add a bunch of vertexes and edges, and you're not taking care of the geometry. So now let me show you a last tool. Let's go ahead and go to face mode. Let's go select these two. I'm gonna go to move tool. Let's see if this works. Did I separate? Oh, I separated them. Okay, by mistake. Anyways, let's go ahead and combine them again. Face mode. Sweet. It looks like the orientation of my pivot is wrong, so let's fix that. We need an object. Actually that's fine. Let's go ahead and extrude. Okay, we have two separate pieces, right? Let's say you want this to be some sort of handle for the handle or something like that, right? You want it to close together. So you would want to do that, right? Do you see what I did there? To add this to H loops, spacebar, mesh tool, insert H loop, right? To then select these two faces. I want to right click, face mode. I want these two faces to connect. You can think, oh, you know, just go to your stroke tool and do it. I could, that works. But instead of doing that, let's go ahead and use our bridge tool. So you go to edit mesh, go to bridge. Super powerful tool. Super powerful tool. This screen that you see here, it's a software glitch that happens. You can just select the face and add just select the face. Okay, let's go. Select the face, you know, it's glitching, select it, right click, go to assign existing material Lambert. Lambert is the default material where the objects come with. And then it's the same material everywhere. So again, bridge, let's go back. So when you have that, it's super powerful because you can add divisions, you can taper, and this one not really because it doesn't have much going on. You can twist it, you can make something twisted like that. Bridge, offset, and curve type, linear or bent. So you can play around with this. Taper's not doing much right now, but yeah, you can bridge two faces on the same object and do pretty cool things. You can do handles, handlebars. You know, I can't think of anything right now more, but yeah, we'll probably be using it when we start a project. So let's stop here with these tools right now. Rewatch all this, and then I'll be recording the next one, and then we'll go over to the other tools, the rest of the tools, and then after that one, I believe it will be we'll be ready to start using the tools that we know to do a project. Yeah, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate your time. Subscribe, like, comment, ring the bell notifications. If there's anything you want to suggest to me about giving these classes, like I said, first time trying to share my knowledge, and sometimes I may ramble, not do the best. Trying my best. Let me know if there's any suggestions. Let me know if there's something specific that you want to know. If I don't know, I'll find out. Yeah, thank you. See you soon. Bye.